New York has district referee administrators for different regions of the state handling local soccer referee management. Stephanie Serrano is the district referee administrator for the Buffalo region. Stephanie works with a committee to introduce people to officiating soccer, make sure that existing referees get recertified, and assign referees to virtually every organized soccer match in Buffalo and Western New York. And to talk about the Buffalo soccer landscape and perhaps even get you to join to be the next great Buffalo, Western New York soccer referee, we are pleased to be joined by Stephanie Serrano. Stephanie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
Let's talk about the unit, first of all. How many referees do you have right now, and what leagues are you supporting, Steph? Is it more than just JSL and BDSL?
Yeah, so last year in the 2025 season, we had about 350 referees in the Buffalo and Western New York area, which is pretty much like the 716. Not all of the Southern Tier, but most of the 716 is what we cover here. That number has gone up over the last couple of years, but dropped significantly during the COVID times. Pre-COVID, we were over 500 referees. I think we were pushing 600 referees at one point. Of course, the pandemic, like everything, hurt our organization a bit. But we're coming back slowly but surely with that. So last year, 2025, was the largest number of referees we've had since the pandemic. This year, referees are still certifying and doing the whole process. So we're only up to like 150 now, but that's pretty normal for this time of year. By the time registration closes in a few months, I'm sure we'll be back to that 300 plus number. So the leagues we serve here, we serve everything from the sanctioned house leagues, of course, the Buffalo and Western New York Junior Soccer League. Other youth leagues we service are the premier youth leagues, like the Champions League, the Thruway League, ECNL. There's the MLS Next out of Rochester that isn't exactly in our area and isn't assigned by our assigners here, but a lot of our referees who are at that level can go work those MLS Next matches there. And of course, we work some of our adult leagues. The BDSL is one of our biggest leagues that we serve. We also have the women's league that plays mostly on Monday nights. So between all those leagues, we're pretty busy. We have the other leagues in the U.S. soccer pyramid of USL, NPSL, USL2, Mesa Nation. So depending on what teams are playing in Buffalo and Western New York, we try to serve as many of those as we can.
That's great, and that's a ton of leagues right there. And you're just supporting. It's almost like you're supporting pretty much everyone. Now, you talked about your numbers. Is there? Am I crazy, or is there a referee shortage right now? And if that's true, was it COVID? What was the cause of that?
So the COVID was a big hit on referees. Another part of it is that our culture has just changed. Like, being a referee is not as, I don't know if it was ever glamorous, but it's definitely not. I think with the technology and everything being on camera, referees are exposed to everything, and if you make one mistake, then you could be plastered all over TikTok and Snapchat and all the different things, and nobody likes to be called out for their mistakes. And now that everything is recorded, being a human, now you get yelled at for that even more. And it's not just in that 90 minutes on the field, somebody's posting videos of you on social media. So I think a lot of what we're trying to do is support our referees to say, you're human, you're learning, you're growing, just as the players are learning and growing. We don't expect players to be perfect by the time they're 14 years old. So we can't expect referees to be perfect by the time they're 14 years old either. So it's hard, right? Refereeing is a hard job. It is under a microscope. And like I said, when everything is videotaped and streamed live and all those things. It's hard, and when you make a mistake, it weighs on you a bit. As games increase in quality and atmosphere, the pressure as a referee is tough, and it takes a strong person to stay with that. And again, like, we're trying to support our referees at all the levels to know that, okay, we make a mistake, we learn from it, we move on, and we just add to that referee toolbox of how can we be better and better. So there's more and more supports coming down from U.S. Soccer to support referees locally. I think we do a pretty good job of making sure our referees are safe out there, because we're very much interested in that retention rate. We're trying to keep as many referees as we can, because we have so many games and so many leagues that we serve here. We need all these referees to keep these leagues going.
Yeah, absolutely. I just know, I can't speak for all refs, but I know in my experience, when I came back, to me, refereeing it was more than just, a workout and a paycheck, because I love the game and I want to be a part of the game. And one way to do that was through refereeing. Now I stopped, and I hate to mention it, but I don't have like the thickest of skin out there when it comes to being a ref. And, of course I did the best I could, but, sometimes it just wore me down to a point where, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was I was at I think the Wilson tournament doing a U17 AR or whatever. And, I've got these two guys behind me chirping at me about not making the right call on the field and things like that. And they were just leaning into me. And I think part of me thinks, in a way, and I don't want to, bring hatred down on parents of players, but I think there was a culture out there that I noticed that, like, yelling at a referee was just what you did, and it was okay, and everyone was just okay with it, and it was fine. And I don't know, how to change that per se, but that was my personal perspective on being a referee. But it got to a point that I just didn't like that anymore.
Referees, we try to hold ourselves to a professional level, right? Even youth referees, we're the professionals out there. We're not the ones who are going to clap back. We're not the ones that are going to turn around and yell back to somebody, because that's just unprofessional. That's just not what we do. Most players and coaches are not going to do that either, right? But can a little bit if a coach or a player yells back to a fan. It's not as frowned upon as it is if the referee does it, right?
Right.
That's not just in youth soccer. That's not just soccer around here. That's our entire sports culture.
Yes.
When, professional referees that we watch on national TV, when they make a mistake, or when the viewers view it as a mistake, we go to social media, we immediately start texting all our friends and family, say that ref messed up, that ref's against us, all the things. Where I can assure you that we may not like certain calls, we may not personally agree with them, but the higher level games that are in soccer or any sport, those referees, they dedicate their lives to these things. They spend hours and hours and hours learning the game, training for these games, and then personally, like, spending time away from their families and friends and even like their real jobs. So, as much as we all want to be the armchair referees, when referees make a certain call, sometimes they actually might know better than we do. So when you have those parents behind you at a U17 local game, I can guarantee that they have not, unless they're a referee or unless they have some experience, they have not taken the same level of training that our referees have. They have not taken the same level of advice to referees that are given out at our recertifications every year, at our unit meeting, at all these different trainings that referees go through at all the levels, from youth soccer all the way up. Sometimes the referees actually do know what they're talking about. Can we still make mistakes? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Like, we're human. And that's still why we love sports, is because it is human. Again, we don't expect players to be perfect. When a player makes a mistake, when a coach makes a mistake, when an organization makes a mistake, we give them a little leeway. But referees, for whatever reason, our culture just expects them to be 100% all the time.
Right.
And it is hard, like you said. Like, some referees have a thicker skin than others. U.S. Soccer last year put in a policy called the referee abuse policy. So it's very black and white of, if a player or coach says or does certain things, there are sanctions that will go against them. Everything from a 1-game ban to literally a lifetime ban. So depending on what a player or coach says or does, it's now black and white. Like, we don't have a choice of, I'll just let that go because I've known you forever and I have a thicker skin or whatever. Because sometimes that sets a bad precedent for the next referee coming in, that may or may not have that thicker skin again. So maybe years ago, when you were still reffing, if previous referees had taken action towards those things and said, "Hey, coach, that parent behind my AR over there, he can't be saying those things to him. Like, it's not okay. Like, he's got to go." Then maybe by the time they got to your game, that guy would not have said it. Or
Right.
a coach or a manager or that club would have had different policies in place to make sure that those things don't happen. Because those are the things that take away from our retention rates, right? So, like, we lost you as a referee because some, as I call them, a cheeseburger, who's saying, things that are just unnecessary. So we're trying to, make that line pretty clear of, here are things that are okay to say, a quick little, "Hey, ref, I don't know about that." Okay, we can move on from there. But when we get to direct, personal, public comments, those are the ones that we just can't have anymore, because we need to keep our referees safe. We need to keep them coming back. Because I don't know if you knew this, but soccer games usually don't happen without referees.
That's right. They don't. When I joined, it was the love of the game. That should be enough, because refereeing is fun. I mean, you can get, I'm sure you've got stories, lifelong friends you can make out of it, just like you would as a coach or a player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think most people get into refereeing because they love the game, they want to stay involved in the game, and getting a few bucks for doing something you love is pretty great. When I started refereeing when I was 13, 14 years old, was I get to go outside and run around by a soccer ball and get paid a few bucks. Great. Love that. And like you said, it's turned into, some of my best friends are referees. I've literally been able to travel around the whole country refereeing. It's fun. You create you create these relationships with people that you get to know. And I think that's what keeps people coming back. Yes, we love the game. Yeah. Yes, we love the paycheck involved in it. But it's the people, right? When I get to referee with my friends, it's fun. When I go to referee a game and I've known some of these players for 20 plus years, it's fun. Before the game, we have a quick word of, "Hey, how's the kids? How's the job? How's life? How things going?" And then we play the game, and they say, "Steph, I don't know about that call." And then after the game, we say, "Steph, that was a great game. How's the kids? How's the family? How's life?" And we just go on as humans. And it is fun, right? We love the relationships involved in all of it. And the paycheck is nice, but the relationships are better.
Speaking of relationships, Just a wonderful story that's out there in the world of soccer officiating. Local story out of Rochester. Are you familiar at all with Katie Nesbitt? First woman to work men's final at the World Cup in Qatar. She was the reserve AR 2024 U.S. Soccer Female Referee of the Year. How is that for a local referee? Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, Katie has done a fantastic job. She has learned the system. She has learned the game. She has dedicated her life to bettering her referee career. Um, she and I and many others were kind of coming up as referees at the same time. I was living in Rochester when she was still there as well. So we worked a lot of games together. We worked a lot of, youth regional type tournaments together. Like I said, she was able to dedicate her life, to this. With her own job, she was able to move around a little bit and, get the opportunity to work some fantastic games. We're always super proud of, Katie and any referee who makes it as far as they can, and it's great to see her accomplishments. Like I said, there's myself, Katie, and a couple others that were kind of growing up in the referee system around the same time. And there's some fantastic referees that came out of that like generation, that have worked, college cup, Final Fours, all the different divisions, working games across the country. And, all of it is great to promote, the soccer referees in the West New York area.
So switching gears here, Steph. Buffalo Pro Soccer coming up. They brought in William Malott as their new academy director. So that's big news. He comes from Phoenix Rising. So a lot of challenges in front of them right now. But I think that the prospect of professional soccer in Buffalo sounds great. They're eyeing March 2027 as their start. But and a couple hurdles ahead of them here as they looked to get a stadium, primary owner, etc. But I find that this countdown to kickoff to be exciting myself.
I think it's exciting for two different sides. One, just as a soccer fan, I would love to see that come to Buffalo and to hang out at some of those games the way we've gone to like some of the FC Buffalo games or other games in the area. I think it'd just be a great atmosphere, and totally positive for the Buffalo soccer area. From a referee side, I look forward to those referees being able to work those games. So whether we can use those games here to promote our own referees, if there's referees traveling in for these games to watch them work, to maybe chat with them after, see if they can do a little clinic with some of our local referees, after the game or before the game. I remember years ago when the Rochester Rhinos were the thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was kind of an up and coming referee at the time, and I would know maybe the fourth official, and they would say, "Hey, Steph, why don't you swing by the locker room after the game?" And then you get to hear what these referees are talking about. You get to hear their post game debrief, and that's just another level of education that provided me with some of the things that like I still do as a referee. So I think it's exciting to know that we may be bringing in more pro referees to see if they can support some of the local referees here as well. And then also, we have a couple referees who are chasing that national badge. And if we could provide games right here at home for them so they don't have to travel as much, that's another great opportunity.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Now, people at home that are interested in becoming a new referee, I'm going to throw up some dates here for us, Steph, but walk us through how that they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so the first thing is to just send me an email, buffalo@wnyreferee.org. It's right at the bottom of the screen there. We had a new referee clinic on the 24th that brought in 20 new referees. We had 2 clinics back in the fall that also brought in 20 at each. So we're at like 60 new referees already. We got a couple more coming up in the rest of the spring. So the process to become a referee is a lot. right? You have to do a 4-hour on-field training session, which is what the screen says there. There's a 2-hour Zoom class to go through all the laws of the game that can be taken at a later date. And then there's some like online learning modules that you have to do through US Soccer. And then, of course, a risk management process through New York West. So there are a few things to do, but I tell you, it's totally worth it. Like it's fun. It's a good time. Like I said before, you get to have some of your best friends. You're running outside around soccer, and make a few bucks out of it. So I highly encourage anybody who just has a love of the game, who wants to stay involved in the game. It's a great thing. I always wanted to be a professional soccer player growing up. That obviously didn't happen, and the way that I can stay involved in the game is through refereeing. So just send me an email at buffalo@wnyreferee.org, and I will get all the information to you. And the rest will be history. It'll be super fun. You never know. Every referee that you see on TV, every referee that is reffing MLS games, NWSL games, they all started in an entry-level class. That's where they started. So even the referees that are starting now, I said, hey, you could be on TV one day. You could be wearing that white badge as a FIFA referee one day. So it all starts at an entry-level class.
Guys, you got to listen to her. You got to get out there. I've known Steph for over a decade. She's the best in the business. Steph, I appreciate you coming on today and talking soccer and refereeing with us. And I wish you and the whole unit a successful 2026.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.